Hey family, what's up? Hey, what's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? Okay, y'all see the title of this interview, family. It will be placed on YouTube. King Simon Presents on YouTube. How y'all doing? Hey, Jamila. Hey, Lisa. Hey, Sherry. Hey, Katrina. Hey, Felicia. Beautiful people that's tuning in. That's doing great work in the community. But we have a real RN, a registered nurse on the line. I will not mention her name, but we're going to say what it is. Talking about a real night nurse who works in the emergency room in New York City. Conditions in hospital care. Should we care about that at all? That's the real deal. I just want to know, see what people are saying, how people are feeling, and because I've been hearing a lot about the shenanigans going on in hospital for years, and I was raised by night nurses or real registered nurses, LPNs. I was raised by midwives and all that stuff from Jamaica all the way to America. My aunts and my grandmothers were all registered nurse in Jamaica and midwives and came here to America. But I have a real live RN, real night nurse. You remember the song Night Nurse by Gregory Isaac? Not just singing about that night nurse taking care of him while he was in the hospital, but somebody he fell in love with, So Gregory Isaac, big up to Gregory Isaac, the late great Gregory Isaac, born July 15th. So is Buju Banton, matter of fact. Buju Banton is born July 15th also. But I'm going to pause this music right now. Yes, the interview with a real night nurse tonight. I'm going to be interviewing a night nurse, and I'm not going to give any names because I don't want to jeopardize my sister's job and all that. But she's a dear friend of mine, and Jamila call it the Despotals. That's a good name. We need to put that in the dictionary. Big up to Angela. What's up, Angela? Anatan. Now, I have with me a dear friend that know me, and I've known her for many years. We're mutual friends with a teacher of ours, teacher of hers back in the day from out of Clara Barton. And in Clara Barton, that's where they studied nursing and all that. A lot of women came out of there, and a lot of men after it became co-ed, it was a lot of men and women that started, boys and girls that started studying out of Clara Barton. I was going to Erasmus back in the day. Got kicked out of Erasmus. Yeah, had to take my GED and get the hell out. But it is what it is. We do what we do, all right? But I have on the line with us the night nurse. I'm going to call her the real night nurse. RN. Okay, I'm gonna call her the real night nurse just to save face. I don't want anything against her. I want nothing going on, and I'm just gonna talk to her. First of all, I want to say greetings, real night nurse. How you feeling?
Good night. I'm okay. How are you?
Oh, everything is all right. Everything is wonderful. This is the real night nurse. People, show her your love and respect on Facebook because we're broadcasting it live on Facebook, and we will be posting it on King Simon Productions. King Simon Presents on YouTube also. Now, the real night nurse, how long have you been in nursing?
I've been in nursing over 20 years.
20? Lot of mercy. 20 years of nursing? Wow. And you went to Clara Barton, so that's a good, would you say that's a good initial school to start off with as far as for young people who wanted to get into nursing?
It actually has two great programs in the health profession. So it has the nursing program that starts off for LPN. I believe they still have it, and they have a Macy's program, which is supposed to be a gateway to like a medical program.
Okay, that's good. Because I know back in the day, it used to be all young ladies first, and then they made it co-ed around what year?
I think around 84, 85, I believe it's
Okay.
Became co-ed.
Okay. Well, you were in there when it was co-ed or when it before?
Yeah, I believe that was my first year.
Okay, so around 84, 85. Yeah, because I remember I went to Erasmus around 82, 81. I got kicked out of Martin Luther King High School, got sent to Erasmus because of bad behavior, my crazy self. Doing some crazy stuff.
Still behaving bad, aren't you?
Fighting security and smoking weed back in my day in Erasmus. that was my throwing hooky parties for people I was doing. It's going to be all in the book, people. It's going to be all in the book, the autobiography, When the Late Bell Rang. And what's so funny, my book is based on when the late bell rang, when I first cut school. That's what it's based on. It starts off from when I first cut school, and that was in a PS 11. Damn, I got cut school from PS. But and they will not let you in without a parent supervisor or bringing you a parent or guardian bringing you in after the late bell. So I didn't know, coming from a Caribbean parentage, as all you and I come from, and many people that listen to me, trying to come home after a late bell to a Jamaican mother is a whole different thing at the age of a young age. You can't do that.
That's not going, so.
No, you're funny. You're from Trinidad again. You're from Trinidad, oh good.
Well, I'm an honorary Jamaican tonight.
All right now. So no, what compelled you to become a nurse, first and foremost? What compelled you to become a nurse?
To be honest with you, it wasn't something that I really thought about. Mm-hmm. It was something that became instilled in me and became part of who I became after the fact. Initially, like you said, you come from this West Indian home parentage where you're told what to do. Mm-hmm. My mother was a nurse. Parents always overthinking everything and is always thinking 10 steps ahead. And as young people, we're just thinking about today and now. I actually loved the thought of going into law. Mm-hmm. But I was told that I had to do nursing. Right. When I was trying, like you following my friends, I actually wanted to go to a school that 6 cars, that mostly had guys, not mostly had girls,
Okay.
But eventually I got stuck in Clara Barton, and it just started the ball rolling to where I'm at today. Okay. So your mother's a nurse, a retired nurse now, and all of that stuff. And now moving forward, now to this day and time, as far as over the 20 years of being in the nursing field, what are some of the conditions that you find that can be changed or that need to enhance or better or become better in the hospitals of New York City or even around the world, but definitely New York City, to speak real frankly, please? There's just so much. Healthcare has gone down the drain. Mm-hmm. Even the profession. I mean, we struggled for so long, even before I became a nurse, to get the recognition as a profession. Mm-hmm. I mean, we've come a long way from the days of Florence Nightingale.
Right.
But I remember looking up to the nurses that worked with my mother, mm-hmm. and they were awesome. They were great. They were extraordinary. I mean, these were nurses. I call them super nurses. I always wanted to be like them. That's what I wanted to aspire to be. They can look at patients and tell you what their labs were like. They can look at labs and tell you what the patient would look like. Mm-hmm. They knew about the patients. They engaged with the patients. They really had a loving concern about patients. Mm-hmm. Somewhere along the line, it became about nursing is a good profession to make money. Mm-hmm. And, you still have some people that get into nursing because they want to genuinely help people. But then you have some people because they say it's a great source of income and it has stability, X, Y, Z. Mm-hmm. Even moving forward from there, healthcare has also changed, not only because of the type of people coming into nursing. With all the healthcare changes that they have, there have been so much cutbacks, and it's becoming more of a business, about the monetary demands over what's right for the patient. We have a lot more hospitals that are closing, so you have, more patients that are coming to the emergency room. You have patients that are coming to the hospital sicker because they don't have the health coverage to actually get follow-up care, proper primary care, to get the medications that they need, to get follow-up, you know. So they're self-medicating, they're altering their medications and instructions. So now the emergency rooms are overcrowded. And then we've had this, you know, non-solvable problem of staffing. Mm-hmm. So now you have insufficient staffing, which has always been a fight for the longest while. I can't understand why today we can't solve this problem. But now you have that, and you have overcrowding. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That should be a concern for everyone, not just myself.
You said overcrowding is an issue. Let's deal with that first. An overcrowding, a crowded house. Now, I've been to Spanish Town Hospital in Jamaica, where they have had 2 women on the same bed about to give birth. Mm-hmm. That's how overcrowded it is in Jamaica, Spanish Town. At that time, I'm going to say that back in the 90s and 80s, that's where I found that to be a major issue, especially in the Caribbean. But let's think about it here, because we're supposed to be like the first world. We're not third world, but we have an overcrowding in the hospital.
We're starting to look like third world countries now, some of these EDs. And part of the problem is that you're getting like a bottleneck effect. Mm-hmm. You have a lot of patients because the hospitals are closing. And patients are sicker. More patients are being admitted. The hospital doesn't have enough, bed spaces for all the admitted patients. So a lot of them are being held in the emergency room, which is creating less room and space for actual ED patients. Mm-hmm. And in addition to having that overcrowding, now you have more patients that could be and should be seen in primary care or urgent care center coming into the emergency room. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And this is an area where, it's priority first based on the assessment of the nursing staff and what's going on. Right. A lot of times it's overcrowded. You have people that come in with lower acuity levels that tend to stay longer, extended waiting times. So everybody's frustrated, everybody's agitated. I mean, it's a strain on the resources, and it's a strain, it's frustrating for the patients, it can be frustrating for staff. I mean, it is a big problem.
Now, hold, stick a pin right there. Those who are just tuning in, we are speaking to a real registered nurse for over 20 years. I'm going to call her AKA the real night nurse because just because of legal issues, I don't want her to be fired from a job. But it's always good, family, that we have somebody that's inside there, like the spook who sat by the door. Brother Rich was able to deal with somebody while his wife was giving birth, and one of the nurses at the hospital, I'm not going to even mention that hospital, that while they was giving birth actually revealed what doctors do when it comes to breech birth and what they do with C-sections and all that. But right now she's speaking about, of course, the overloading and the overcrowding of hospitals. Now, with this real night nurse, do you think that the hospitals are properly funded? Are they properly funded so they can have the amount of equipment that they need and the staffing that they need?
To be honest with you, I believe everybody in their role has their crosses to bear and their burdens. Mm-hmm. To say which is genuine from which is not, some hospitals, I really can't say. Mm-hmm. I know there are problems. I mean, I do believe there is a big funding issue, because of the fact that the way reimbursements are done now. You have to meet certain criteria to get reimbursed when for patient stay. And it's like they start at a certain amount and then they deduct for every little different thing. So I do believe reimbursement is a big problem. So right now they may be recuperating less than what they're putting out. So that might be, part of the problem. To say if they're getting extra resources and if they're being allocated properly, I can't really say. I don't want to put my head on the chopping block.
Okay, I understand.
Historically, we have seen certain hospitals always in the black, but always claiming they're in the red. So, I mean, there are certain hospitals, I don't want to call them by name. It's not mine, though.
That's right.
But, for years, I was in high school and they were always having layoffs and rescinding, layoffs and then rescinding, layoffs and rescinding, always threatening to close. And, thank God they're still standing today. But again, another thing that's going on is a lot of hospitals are merging just to stay open. And if you are taken over by one of these corporations, a lot of times your resources get tapped into also. So it's really a hard question to say, unless you're really high up. And if you're that high up, they're not giving you that information because they're trying to do what's best for them. I mean, it's not even about the staff. I really don't know who their interest is really covering.
I understand. Those who are just tuning in, I'm speaking to the real night nurse. I'm not going to mention her real name, but this sister here who I've known for many years, and she's been in the nursing system for 20 years. As far as you see, my title says conditions in the hospital care, because many of our people depend on hospice and hospital care, especially elderly people, especially when you're giving birth. A majority of our people, as soon as a child catch a cold or anybody catch a cold, them run and take the baby to the hospital. Like back in the day, we had old remedies in our backyard, especially in Jamaica and the Caribbean and throughout down south. We had our old remedies to whatever, and people might call it witch doctor stuff or whatever.
Bush people, them.
My grandfather was a bushman, for real. That's why he lived to 103. But it is what it is. But now, real night nurse. What about the insurance? Are people still have to be insured in order to be accepted into a hospital? Because I know there was a big thing about that at one time.
No.
Okay.
Hospital. If you have a problem, hospitals must treat you.
Okay.
Anytime you go to a hospital, if you need care, especially if it's urgent, they have to treat you.
Now, if you have insurance, it's a different thing, right? If you have insurance, you get better care, right? That's what you say? You would say that?
No. I would never say better care.
Okay.
I mean, I can't promise, but for the most part, and most staff, most nurses, I'll even speak for a lot of the ED residents.
Okay.
I'll even speak for most ED residents because ED residents, ED nurses, even EMS, we don't think about it. We just stabilize and treat. And by law, we have to. So, if you're sick and you have to come into the emergency room, you may get, that's something you can debate after the fact. They have certain laws about treating patients, stabilizing patients, and, transferring. I mean, there are a lot of laws in place, to prevent discrimination during those times.
Okay.
So that's why sometimes you may even see patients come to a hospital and they don't want to stay here. They want to be transferred to another hospital. It's not that easy because of these same laws.
Okay. Wow, man. So how are they trying? How are they dealing with these things that are going on in regards to that? How are they dealing with it?
In regards to what, the insurance?
Yes, in regards to the insurance. Yes.
Okay, well, if you come in and you don't have insurance, then you'll be registered as a self-pay. You'll probably get a bill after,
right?
And I guess then you deal with the billing department after that.
Okay.
Sometimes in certain cases, like if you're hospitalized, sometimes they can request social services to try to help you get emergency Medicaid or something like that.
Okay.
Because certain hospitals do allow it, allows for situations like that, in case you have to be admitted and you don't have insurance. Sometimes they can get a social worker to try to apply for emergency Medicaid to cover that, specifically that hospital visit. And anything that goes on after that, you can apply for after.
Okay. Well, as a nurse for 20 years or so right now, and that's a long time. I'll tell you that. 20 years. I'm sure I'm celebrating 23 years professionally as a producer and a promoter. But that is a long time, and it just shows you've held fast to what you've done, and you gotta love what you do in order for you to do it, even though you wanted to become a lawyer first. If you were in charge of allocating things for the hospice or the hospital world or the world of the hospital or just medical world in general, what would you do? I know you're not running for politics or anything. I'm just saying, working from a nurse's perspective and seeing it from the inside, what would you do to change the conditions for the hospital?
Okay. First of all, the first thing that I would do, because like I said, everybody has their burdens to bear. And at the end of the day, a hospital can't run without the proper resources.
Right.
So, I mean, as much as the nurses, we're thinking about patient outcomes. We want to do the best for our patients. We want to have all the supplies we need. The patients come, they want to be treated. They want to get the best care possible. The doctors, they want to treat, get them the best care. You know, administration, you're not always like what they do, but at the end of the day, they're responsible for getting resources to keep the ED functioning and keep the hospital floors functioning. So, you know, to really, I believe everybody needs to work as a team. We need to get together. We each need to come to the table with what we need to do to keep this facility running. And we have to work together. You know, first thing I need to do, you know, is encourage the community, utilize urgent care center for non-urgent situations. Follow your follow-up instructions. You understand? You know, take your medications as prescribed. If you're not sure about it, if you have to get a second opinion, get a second opinion. If you have a problem with obtaining the medication, speak to someone in the hospital. We have a lot of services in the hospital and even in the community that help people get, you know, the services that they need, that they can get the medications that they need. You understand? Because a lot of these things that are coming into the emergency room can be managed in primary care. So not only that, and in the clinics, it will cut down the time that you're waiting in the ED. It cuts down the crowding. It cuts down the time to triage. It cuts down the time to see a physician and to get treated. Okay. We need to, you know, think about, you know, what's coming in versus what's coming out. We have to protect the resources. You know, we have to make sure we use what is needed. We don't stop being wasteful with supplies. You know, my thing is this: I rather do as much as I can do that we can do for a patient. I like to err on the side of caution. You know, if we do an extra test or two, if the patient needs it, hey. But then, you know, we have to do everything within reason and within limit. You know, you have certain people that just come and like to do the same thing over and over and over again. Sometimes you just have to trust the doctor. Okay, well, we already did this. Let's move on from this point and see where we can go, where else we can go. Because sometimes you have people come in, and if a doctor say, well, you need this and you need that, you know, you were here yesterday, we did that and we did this. You know, sometimes you got to give the doctor a little slack. If you're not sure, ask questions. There's nothing wrong with asking questions. When you leave the emergency room, you're entitled to know what was done for you and what they found. And, you know, if they're not sure, if they, you know, you don't understand, ask questions. And then they usually give you papers to take home. They're explaining these things and they tell you about your follow-up. Take it, get a primary care physician, get your checkups, get your annual checkups. You know, I mean, get your vaccinations, or if you're not sure about the vaccinations, speak to a health professional regarding them. Some people like to take them, some people don't. You know, but it's not something you should just take upon yourself. Go get proper information.
Now, you know, a dear friend just brought up something very clear of mine, somebody who I go back to when we was children, Annette White. Hey, Annette, thank you. She said, what about Cuban healthcare system? Because I understand, you know, my father's side of the family, a lot of them come from Cuba and Jamaica. I understand. And matter of fact, one of my aunts then went to study in Cuba as far as the hospice and all that, because I heard they graduate at least 3,000 doctors per year, nurses per year. Have people considered using more of the doctors from out of Cuba? Have any of the nurses or doctors out there studied in Cuba anyway? You know?
I can't tell you who has who hasn't. No, but what I'm saying is I'm not quite sure.
Right.
Most of them I know probably you'll find in the United States and maybe just act the way Grenada. But I do know one of two that are actually in the program, in some programs in Cuba, and because they've worked in the hospital here. You're right; it is a totally different way of accessing and providing care. I've heard good things about it. To say, you know, I could only tell you from what their takeaway from the program was.
Right.
But the way they do healthcare is a little different from the way we do it. And I guess we also have a high incidence of pollution over here.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that will also influence the way healthcare is provided.
Mm-hmm, 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 mm-hmm.
Now,
we're speaking, people that are tuning in, just getting in. I'm not going to keep it for so long. We're at 25 minutes after the hour. Well, it's 38 minutes after the hour on the time clock. But, what is so interesting to me, being raised with nurses and watching what's going on with the nursing. I know nurses seem to work a little bit harder than doctors, as far as I'm concerned, after what I've watched.
You know what? I mean, it's for the most part, but I can tell you in the ED,
mm-hmm.
Especially the way healthcare is now,
mm-hmm.
You have some great doctors that are residents that are in there.
Mm-hmm.
And if the nursing staff and the medical staff don't work together as a team,
mm-hmm.
all would probably fall down.
Mm-hmm.
So
okay.
you do have some very hardworking doctors, residents, and you know me, I'm not a kiss up.
Right.
They're crappy, they're lazy, I'll tell you.
Mm-hmm.
But the hospitals that I've seen for the most part, and even the one that I'm at now, we've had some great residents.
Mm-hmm.
And if we, many times, our night can go straight to hell based on who's on duty.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It can really get bad. And a lot of times, especially with, and I'm pretty sure a lot of the hospitals have the same thing, especially with the shortage and the crowding, if the doctors don't work with us, it can be a bad night for everybody.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Now, before we finish right there, Jamila Duncan, a dear friend of mine, a massage therapist, says, of course, nurses are overworked. And she also says Cuba has vaccinations that can assist prevention care in the States. What's so ironic about that is that when Bill Clinton was going through something, he went to Cuba to go get doctors. He went to Cuba to go get treated, which is interesting. Allegedly.
I've heard very good things about about Cuba's healthcare system. But the thing about it, like I said, I guess we have a lot of regulations here. We're in a system of litigation,
right?
And I guess, and then like you said, there are a lot of things that go into how things are done here. Cause like over here, like we have this big, thing about, who's in control, and like you said, who's getting the dollar behind it,
right.
And who's controlling this. I mean, all of that, whether it's right, wrong, I'm not even going to get into that, And sometimes when you go to these other places that have less restriction and they do things in a better way, it works.
Right.
It works for them. And there has to be something behind it. Because like you say, people with, you have a lot of people with money that leave here to go to these other places for healthcare. So it can't be that bad.
Right. That's true. Before I end this interview, because we're gonna end it around 30 minutes, I didn't want to make it too long because our people's attention span is real fast. It's short. However, thinking about holistic health. Now, I know this is not your field as far as getting into alternative medicine and all that, but how do you feel about alternative medicine, whether it's homeopathic, whether it's naturopathic, whether it's whatever? How do you feel about it? Okay. Yeah.
I love it. Well, you know why I love it too, but like I said, I always think outside of the box.
Right.
And like I said, I do agree with seeing your doctor, but you do have a lot of physicians that do advocate the combination of the two.
Right.
And I'm actually one of those that do believe in the combination. I just believe that if you're going to go the holistic route for certain things, like, like your blood pressure, blood sugar, and all these different things, and, cancer treatment like everybody wants to do, I do believe you should work with a combination of doctors that believe and work on both ends.
Okay.
So you don't have anything that conflicts and you get the proper care. Because there are a lot of medications, there are a lot of things, foods and things out there that we take that impact the body system. Like, we speak a lot about, and it's becoming big, turmeric, turmeric powder is becoming, a big thing now with, for anti-inflammatory usage, and I've actually used it, and it does work. You just got to find the right powder, the right combination. But then again, certain things that you want to take there, you don't want to make sure it doesn't have any adverse reactions with other medications that you are taking. That's why I always suggest that you discuss it with your doctor. And another thing people need to do is, like, when you're going to any doctor or you're going to the hospital, you're going to the emergency room, you need to let them know when you're taking these things too. Because sometimes these medications, if a doctor prescribes a medication for you, you know, you may take something else in the house, and the two may negate each other. So when you wonder why it's not working, you know, it's because you're taking something else. Because not all your medications can be taken at the same time.
Right.
There's certain medications you have to take them 2 hours apart, 3 hours apart. You have to take it with food. You have to take it without food on an empty stomach. There's just so much that goes into all of our medications. Because even the way we take our medications, for the most part, is incorrect. So another thing I always tell people to do, when you have your medications, discuss it not only with your doctor, but your pharmacist. So you're not taking a whole bunch of medications and they're not working because they're interacting with each other.
Okay, so you're right. You're basically saying that, you know, dealing with the alternative medicine is always good to think holistically. Go allopathic, go homeopathic, go different variations of this to help heal the body. I
mean, if you can discuss
if you can, because some people are afraid of the doctors because, you know, most of the medicines are made with probably 2 or 3% of the herb, and then whatever they do with it, that's up to them.
Right.
But that's what's important, because the Hippocratic Oath, of course, if people study Hippocrates, he was somebody who used over 360 herbs. He never cut into the body. He never used what we call medicine today. Herbs has been our medicine. So I totally get it. And if you're one of who support it, that's good. So I always suggest to all nurses, I suggest all nurses to study. Hold on one second. I suggest that all nurses study alternative medicine. Even my daughter, who says she wants to be a nurse, she should study alternative medicines also. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, but I'm saying, even with that, I mean, like you said, there are a lot of doctors who advocate holistic means of treatment. Right. And I mean, if you're going to do that for certain complaints, I mean, if you have like little joint pains and stuff like that, and you want to take a little something, that's one thing. But when you have, you know, you have a lot of people that want to treat their blood pressure, they want to treat their cardiac disease, they want to treat, you know, the diabetes and all these things holistically, you still need to be followed by a physician, whether it's a holistic doctor who only deals in that, or a regular medical doctor. Don't do it on your own.
Right. Okay.
You know, that's the thing that I'm saying. Always do it with medical, you know, guidance. So this way, you know, they can help guide you which way you need. And if you do need more than what you get, because with medication, not everything works for everybody.
Right.
You don't want to wait till you get extremely sick and end up being hospitalized to realize something wasn't working, which is what a lot of people do.
Right. And I know Jamila says integrative care is always best. Well-roundedness creates homeostasis. Okay, yes, very good. Also, somebody asks, Mr. Lee said, do you think doctors experiment with patients, or do they know what they are doing? Very good question. Very good question.
You know what? I would like to say no all the time.
Of course.
But ethically, we'd like to say we don't. We're not supposed to. But when you go to hospitals that are treating, that's how sometimes they're learning. But the main thing is not to do any harm. I mean, when I say experimenting, they're not doing anything that hasn't been. They're not supposed to be doing anything that hasn't been designated as treatment for something, a specific disease process. You know,
that's interesting though, what he said, what that question he asked. You know why? Because when I was doing security for Tupac back in the 90s, after he got shot the first time, we was assigned to security at the hospital when I was in the Nation of Islam, and they put him in a hospital that was full of students in the ICU. So these students kept on checking on him. That's why he got angry. They kept on, because they're learning what they're doing. So they kept on being on top of it. Yes.
See, especially in certain areas, but see, the only thing too, when you don't have that experience. Right. Not only are you learning, but you're cautious.
Right.
You understand?
Yes.
You want to be on top of everything. Because even in a lot of the hospitals back then and even now, I think it's more so now, they're always advocating checking on patients every 2 hours and every hour, and patients don't like that, especially in the middle of the night.
Right.
But when you've had, nobody likes that until, God forbid, they go into distress in the middle of the night, and then they're saying, well, the nurse never checked on me.
Right.
You know?
Right.
There is a reason. Trust me, if you see a nurse coming around checking every hour, or a doctor, trust me, there has been at least one situation where it went bad because they didn't.
Right, right. I mean, because it was so fun. And why I mentioned that story first is because in the news report, they said Tupac cursed out the doctors when that wasn't actually true. What had happened is that Tupac was being checked every 10 minutes and he wanted to get some rest. And then when I was the one that gave him, when they said he ran out of the hospital naked, I was there with him and I gave him my trench coat. People don't realize he had on the the hospital coat with his ass hanging out, but it was me that had to give him my trench coat and take him downstairs. But I told Tupac, I said, brother, I know you want to leave. I know you ain't getting rest. He said, brother Simon, and he told the doctors, he didn't curse out what he said. And I tell people this, the story is going to be in my book, people. But I told the story and I said that Tupac said, I appreciate what you doctors and nurses are doing, but I can't get no effing sleep. That's what he said, because they was checking him every 10 to 15 minutes.
Nah, that's a little unless he's in distress, that's a little excessive.
And he wasn't in distress. He was just trying to get rest. He wasn't in distress. But you know
what? Maybe it was because of who he was.
Right, exactly.
But, in situations like that, like I always tell people, if you're not happy with something, you don't have to sit there and take it. If you're not sure about something, you can ask for the charge nurse, you can ask for the head doctor, you can call patient relations. You do have options, you know?
And that's what I had to do for him. I had to call the charge nurse so he could sign out, because we couldn't just release him. He wanted to just run out. I said, no, we had to sign out first. And because I was the security on point at that time in the nation for the X-Men security for Tupac, I had to make sure that he kept calm. And then I made sure that we go to the nurses in charge of that floor. And I think it was NYU, that hospital. I forgot which hospital it was at, but it was one of those school hospitals, those educational hospitals. One more question before we get off. Jamila asks, giving birth for women of color is becoming very dangerous regarding receiving proper care. Why is that? That's a good question. If you can't answer it, leave it alone. Leave it alone.
But you know what? I really can't tell you why, but I'll tell you what some of the things that I have seen.
Right.
A lot of the times, I won't even just say women of color, a lot of minority women and a lot of women of lower economic status. They tend to not get the proper prenatal care. And for whatever reason, whether it's insurance or they find out late, or, especially when the younger that they are. And, sometimes by the time they get to the hospital, based on what's going on, they do have run into situations where, that they may need a C-section or something like that. But then again, like I keep telling everybody, they have a mouth. You don't have to yell, scream, whatever. Ask questions. If you feel that you don't want a C-section, you have a right to question. If they're offering you a C-section, why do I need this cesarean? What are my chances of having a natural birth? Is the child all right? Because I don't believe in, putting a fetus in jeopardy, right. But you have the right to question that, because you do have some doctors, for whatever reason, that are very cut happy,
But don't they make money cutting? Don't they make extra money doing the cutting?
But then also again, with C-sections, you got a higher risk for complications. So you do have some that's a major surgery. So not everybody really likes to do it. But then another thing with natural birth, so many things can go wrong, regardless of what you do, no matter how prepared you are. And nobody wants to have fetal demise on their hand.
True. That's true. That's true.
Nobody wants to take the chance for a fetal demise.
Well,
and that's a lot of the reason.
Well, on that note, Real Night Nurse, I want to thank you very much for being a part of this brief thing. We might do it again, when you more comfortable. You did quite well. You did a quite job. People are asking questions. That was good. And I can't give out any numbers to her for a consultation yet and all that kind of stuff. That's why I'm calling her the Real Night Nurse. I know her real name. I know her for many years, but I want to make sure that she is secured in her job.
Well, and any questions they can get to you, and I can always answer.
So they can email me any questions you may have. You can hit me up at private message on Facebook, and let's do it that way. If you have any questions, if you're delivering,
the main thing I just would like them to try to take away from this whole thing is, preventive care, follow-up care, you know, like you said, whether you want to see somebody that's holistic, somebody that's, you know, a medical doctor, do that. Do not use the emergency room as the primary care. I mean, you can't, because the emergency room is, especially the emergency room, is basically to stabilize and transfer, whether it's to stabilize you and transfer you to a medical doctor, surgical doctor, you know, the dentist or whatever. So you're never going to be 100% happy, because a lot of people like to come in for dental issues. We don't do dental services. They do pain management, and you still got to go back to the dentist. So, you know, the best thing to do is take care of yourself. Do the follow-up care. Make the appointment. You know, if you don't have insurance, a lot of these clinics do sliding scale.
One more question before you go. So Jamila, she's a Virgo like you, so y'all know what this is. Y'all both Virgos. She born the 21st and you're born the 13th. So I got this. I know what's happening here. She says today's nurses need an improvement on their approach to dealing with patients, clients.
And I agree with you.
And she says, does nursing staff have a retreat or recovery period? Now she's a massage therapist now, so she can very much be helpful to a lot of those nurses to help them relax and retreat to a recovery through massage and touch. So Jamila, I think, you know, you got a thing going on, you know. She's a Trinidadian too. She's from Trinidad also. Oh, good.
You know, listen, she's 100% correct.
Right.
And but that takes us back to where I started off at, with some of the reasons why people get into nursing. You know, it's not just for the love as it used to be. You know, when we used to go to work, we used to learn.
Yes.
When I used to be in the hospital years ago, before I did home care and returned, I learned so much in the hospital that I took with me outside into the outside world. Like I tell people, know your baselines. You know, when they tell you, you know, your blood pressure is 120/80, yeah, that might be in the range of a good blood pressure. But if your blood pressure, if that's not within your personal range, that might be a sign that something is starting to go on. So you have to know about yourself. You have to know about your body. And as far as the nurses, you know, they don't have that same kind of thought process, you know, not too many of them anymore. And then, like I said, with the overcrowding, they're frustrating.
Of course.
You know, everybody, you know, we're working, many times they're working without break. We're working nonstop. To go to the ladies' room or the men's room is a luxury. You know, we're eating while we're running between patients. You know, I was sick one time. I was using my inhaler between patients.
Wow.
You know, yeah, it can get really frustrating. And I apologize for some of the nurses that are short with patients. A lot of it is frustration. Some of them just naturally have bad attitudes. I mean, there's nothing we can do about that. But, you know, in situations like that, I mean, try to discuss it with the nurse. If you still have a problem, again, approach the charge nurse. And
sometimes nurses come with their own personal issues from home and husband and children and all that stuff.
And then I used, before I come to work, I had to say a prayer before I started my shift.
Lord have mercy, help me before we kill somebody.
Because again, but then again, you got to understand with patients too. But when patients come and they're in bad moods, I try not to let it bother me, because again, you got personality issues, and then you got people that are not feeling well. It's not all the time when I'm not feeling well that I want to be bothered with people, or I want to be cordial. I try to be because I have to be. You know, so when we take that oath, we accept the fact. I mean, we're not supposed to take abuse from patients.
Of course.
But you're gonna have patients that, you know, and then you have some that are they overdo it with the abuse, you know, and the family members. But we're the professionals, and you know, we're not supposed to, you know, really take it out on patients.
I understand. So, you know, I feel, you know, those who are tuning in, I'm about to shut this down. It's 57 minutes after 11, going on 12 o'clock. I'm going to be out of here by 12, people. Now, you know, I used to train martial arts with certain nurses and all that. And I think nurses should take some type of meditation, some type of Tai Chi, some type of Qigong. Even at work, they should be able to go off and do something, because that life is so strenuous, and I've seen it in my grandmother. The picture that I put up was my grandmother delivering a baby. Those who just seen that picture, that's my late grandmother. She would be 101 years this year, or 100 years old this year. Lillian Alberta Scotland. Now, she used to work in Cumberland Hospital. She worked at the Jewish Hospital. She worked at St. Mary's Hospital. She worked at a lot of the hospitals before she retired after 30 years, and she taught a lot of nurses out here. So I used to see the stress of grandma, and then she had to come home and deal with probably the bull crap with us as grandchildren, or this the sons and daughters and all that kind of stuff. So I totally understand. So but Real Night Nurse, I want to thank you very much for participating in this first time I ever did an interview as far as with a nurse in a long time. Though my family comes from I come from a family of nurses and doctors and what so forth, and lawyers also. I'm just happy that we still know each other, and we still talk about, and we're able to converse about these things online, especially on social media, because it's going to reach all over anyway. It's all over the world. So thank you very much. And I'm sorry you can't give out no email or nothing yet, but they can send me the message, and I'll filter this thing out, see who they are, make sure they're not agents. Trying to get you in trouble, because we like crabs in a barrel nowadays. But it's all about that. But I want to thank you very much, and you get your rest, and we'll talk. Okay.
All right, thank you. Good night, everybody.
All right. Peace, Night Nurse. Yes. Thank you very much, Sherry. And thank you very much, all you participants. Jamila, thank you very much. Thank you. That's part of my family. So I know I was getting a lot of downloads from, my grandmother and my auntie and all of them that are also nurses. With my other aunt, she was a nurse too. She's here somewhere on my altar. There's a whole bunch of them on my altar here. She was a nurse. Oh, here's my other aunt in Jamaica. She was a nurse also. My grandmother and her studied together. Aunt Victoria Hamilton Campbell, and my grandmother is Lillian Alberta Walters, Scotland. Walters is the maiden name, Hamilton is the maiden name of her. But they studied together. As a matter of fact, they became godparents to each other's children. So this one, my grandfather, this man in the background, my grandfather, if you can see that picture in blue, it's way back there, but it's my picture in blue. My grandfather, he built the house. He built many houses in Jamaica, and he built the midwifery in Spanish Town, where my aunt Victoria, or Vicky, delivered many children. This woman right here, she was also born, October 16th. She was a Libra. October 16th, very loving woman, but a very stern and serious woman. My grandmother's a Cancer Gemini. She born the 22nd of June. So, but both of them got along very well. They worked together. They really sent money to each other, sent clients to each other while they was in Jamaica. My grandmother came from Jamaica first, and then helped them to come up, help some of her, and was a godparent to. Oops, I just dropped her. I got to go get that picture. But sorry, Auntie. But I was raised amongst them. So my spirit compelled me after doing the Star and Buck Wild show. I just did Star show. And those who don't know, they canceled the so-called boxing match with Sonetta and Poppy, which is all good to me. I'm going to keep it moving. Now, those who may need a midwife, this is a good book to read, Journey to Birth, by a dear friend of mine named Sakina Ohuru. This is her beautiful picture. She's a Virgo also, y'all. She's a Virgo also, born September 3rd. She's also on Facebook and Instagram, Sakina Ohuru. Make sure you get her book. It's called The Story of Midwife's Journey and Reflection, and a reflection of a heroic woman, of the heroic women she served along the way. So I say women that do want to have children, make sure you get a doula or a midwife. I think one is less expensive than others. And I know many doulas. So if you want to contact me to find out about a doula or the midwife, or get in contact with Sakina, call me or text me at 347-496-1022. Brother Rich texted me, and his wife did get her own doula that really assisted in the birth and assisted in having her have a natural birth. So that was a very important thing for Brother Rich and his beautiful wife to go through, where he had a natural birth boy on October the 2nd. And they even got the placenta so they can do what they have with it, instead of it going to the companies, allegedly going to all the companies and turning into makeup, whatever they're going to do, placentas and all. They got makeup called placentas. So think about where it's coming from. So we always got to be very aware of, and you know what's so funny? Rich was telling me in the hospital, I won't mention the hospital that he was in, but Rich was telling me that the hospital was even trying to fight for the placenta and then try to give all this song and dance of why they should do this, why they should give a C-section. But Rich stood the ground as a husband. He stood the ground as a husband and said, look, my wife ain't having no C-section. Okay, what y'all saying? Y'all are trying to make this thing extra. And Rich stood the ground, and she survived a natural birth, and it came out natural. You only had to get sewed up around the vaginal area, but that's what it is. You know what I'm saying? So it's very important that if you're gonna have a hospital birth, or if you choose to do natural birth, please consult a midwife, a doula. Have a nurse that believe in holistic or alternative methods. Have a massage therapist like Jamila and Sherry, they're massage therapists, and Audra. I know them as massage therapists, and various other people. Terry Oss, she's a massage therapist. I went to school for massage, but I ain't doing that no more. It's too much energy. I don't deal with the energy no more like that. But family, it's important that you do what you have to do to take care of your health, take care of you. And that's why I had the interview with the RN, aka a real nice nurse who's been studying it for 20 years. I knew her since Clara Barton, because my friend Adam, teacher Adam, was the teacher, and he introduced me to his students back. He used to have me come into classes as a young man studying Islam under the Ansar community, have me come and talk to the students back in the day. So that's how I met a lot of students in Clara Barton, Prospect Heights, even Erasmus sister Lyons, sister Lyons, teacher Lyons. Those who went to Erasmus know Sister Lyons, light-skinned sister with the locks. I knew her when she first started the locks. She used to have me come in because they seen me go through my changes of being kicked out of 3 schools just for acting up and acting crazy, acting like a mad Jamaican. I was doing my thing. And you know, because they used to call me Smiley, but I was a guy with a smile that would smack the hell out of a few brothers back in my day when we used to fight, especially if you disrespected family or friends. Brothers knew to call me. I was just a little whippersnapper, not really afraid of anybody back in my young days. I'm more cautious and stay focused now, stay to myself. But on that note, family, I'm going to get ready to get out of here. I will post this on YouTube after I design a nice little banner for the front page of the YouTube of this about the night nurse, real night nurse. If you do want to get any more advice or consultation from the night nurse about how to deal with nurses when you go to hospitals, especially if you're carrying your child there or you're carrying your elders there, please inbox me in the private message, and I will send her the message and your email, and I will send her the message and your email so you can connect with her, and that will be very important. I think we should consult these people that are working on the front line in the hospital. Nurses, to me, are the hardest workers in the hospital business, period. Next to the plumber and everybody else inside there. But nurses are the hardest workers next to the EMS, the EMTs, and all them. They are the hardest workers. So out of here, family, want to thank you. Just want to remind you, of course, come on out, family. Come on out to my November 11th celebration. That's right, 11/11 celebration with the elders. Our elders, we are showing our love for them. I know Angela will have some gift bags for the elders. You know, I was trying to get some plaques, but my plaque guy, he kind of disappeared. I don't know where he's at. But Renoka Rashidi, Leonard Jeffries, and Professor Smalls, you buy one ticket and bring a guest for free. Buy one ticket, bring a guest for free. Live performance by Red Pill and Blue Pill, Kambata, and the Womb Yoga Moon Dancers. Will be showing you the importance of moon yoga and yoga for the womb. And also Empress and Priestess Yendez will be giving the opening libation and meditation at St. Francis College, 182 Remsen Street at Court Street, downtown Brooklyn. Doors open at 1 p.m. Event starts at 2. It's more at the door. It's $50 at the door. So I'm letting you know it's $50 at the door, but you can buy your tickets online right now at kingsimonproductions.eventbrite.com. That's kingsimonproductions.eventbrite.com. Or you could go to Nicholas, Brooklyn. Go to Nicholas, Brooklyn and get the $30 tickets. Online it's $40 because I had to take it up. But at Nicholas, Brooklyn, it's still $30. And the RSVP list, you can call me or text me at 347-496-1022. Text me if you want to be on my RSVP list, and that will be $30 you'll have to pay via PayPal, and then I'll leave you on the PayPal RSVP list, and then you can come to the door and pick up your tickets and get on inside. Also, those from out of town, we are live streaming on usalivestream.com. He's doing a little construction on his website, so if you haven't seen it on the livestream.com yet, the usalivestream.com, he's doing a little repair so we can actually deliver a stellar performance over the live stream, and it could be very clear, uncut, and it could hold the feed. So thank y'all very much, family. My name is King Simon. If you want any numerology consultations, please text me your full name and date of birth to 347-496-1022. 347-496-1022. There are no $15 tickets. You buy one $30 ticket and you bring a guest for free. That's what it is. You buy one $30 ticket, you bring a guest for free. Remember, I am paying honorariums for every speaker that comes in there. I'm paying for their travel and hotel. Well, the real person that is traveling and need hotel is Renoko Rashidi, but he will be the last presenter. He's going to be doing a PowerPoint presentation. The rest of them will be speaking. But I want to thank you very much for joining me with this interview with the RN, with an RN, aka real night nurse, conditions in the hospital, in hospital care. So love and respect. I know, Sherry, your Leo ass is just trying to be funny. You're just like Professor Griff, always want to tell a joke. He born the same day you're born too, August 1st. So I got it. I know who y'all are. I'll see y'all later. Y'all take care. Stay in peace. Thank y'all very much for asking those great questions, man, from Mr. Lee, Jamila, Miss White. Thank you very much. Okay. Thank you very much. Have a great day, afternoon, or evening. Peace.